Hello and welcome to episode 22 of The Content Show. Now today we're talking about newsletters. We're going to look back at the experience of producing our own newsletter for 3 years, take a peek at a media outlet that's completely based on newsletters called Axios, a platform called Substack, and finish on our resident comedian Artur's Newsy Newsletter. Newsy News Newsletter. Newsy News Newsletter. Too much news? Never. Right. Firstly, introducing the Brains Trust, we have, as I mentioned, Artur scripted content director at Click to View and Singapore's most famous Russian comedian.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
And our editorial content director coming to you live from Sydney, Tim Coleman.
Hello, how are you all?
I'm very well. First, I'm going to tear our newsletter apart, something which we've done on the odd occasion. We have a newsletter called Content Confidential, and I'm just going to show you what it looks like here. It's been going for a bit over 3 years. Tim, how many editions are we up to now? It's 120 or something. It's had many different iterations over time, but we have basically 3 sections. The first is usually an insight, often based on a blog that we've done. We try and make it as relevant to what's going on in content marketing and in media generally. And for instance, this one is about newsletters, funnily enough. The second section is more of a news section. So we're just talking about the reach of big tech. This is in last week's edition. This comes out every Thursday morning, by the way. And
I love the GIF. This robot is amazing.
I
can't stop watching.
The GIFs are in some ways the best part about the newsletter, I think. And then finally, we have Click to View's picks, which is where we started the newsletter. So now over to Tim. How's the newsletter evolved over the years?
Well, it started off as just a tool to share videos. Videos we liked, we thought were funny, were well produced. Then we added a news section, which just focused on Southeast Asian content marketing news. And then we started to make it more compact. I think what we've got now is more of a narrative throughout the whole thing, at the end with the videos.
One of the things I like about producing this is we initially started 3 years ago, and now we really get the whole team involved, and it's a flowing process. So the newsletter drives the blog content drives the newsletter, the content show. This feeds off the back of the newsletter. So we try and get everyone in the company involved as much as possible.
Yeah, we've sort of made a content machine with all 3 parts.
Love it.
Producing content.
It's awesome. Artur, when you pick all the video picks, is that difficult to find new stuff every week?
I think, again, it got easier. So I usually I have a couple of channels that are already curating some of the best contents, like Motionographer or Wine After Coffee. So they mostly focus on animation videos. And then I have hundreds and hundreds of brand YouTube channels that I'm subscribed to. So I try to not pick anything that is older than 1 week. So it's really the freshest and the best contents that we select. I guess for me, the criteria is usually to keep it quite diverse. Like some are ads, some are more like product explainers, some are maybe personal interviews, some are just documentaries.
What I love about this is, again, we were just picking them for ages and ages, and now we've started recording them and categorizing them on a big sheet. Pretty soon we're going to have a good archive of the best content released in 2020 and over time. And I think that's going to be a really valuable resource if we're talking to clients, for instance, looking at, a client wants a case study, what's an interesting way of doing a case study. Now, the next one I'm going to look at is a media company that is based completely on newsletters. It's called Axios, which means worthy in Greek. Each story is 200 to 400 words. They use dot points extensively. The reporting is really matter of fact. You won't see a lot of opinion in it. I really like this. No BS. I'm a fan of Axios, obviously, but what do you guys think?
Yes, I absolutely love the kind of no BS type of attitude where you really get just the facts. And if you have more interest in certain stories, you just click and read the full one.
Yeah, they've really taken the template of a news story and just sort of broken it apart. At the very top, they actually trademarked this term smart brevity, which is their thing. You see how many words it is, how long it's going to take to get through. And at mobile first, they actually make their reporters write the stories on their mobile phones, which is going to keep your word count to a minimum.
Yeah. And then they do back it up with a lot of things outside the newsletter as well. So they've got the HBO show and a pretty extensive news as well. So I think it's a great way to bring long and short form together.
All right, I'm going to switch to the next one. Okay, the next newsletter, I guess, newsy thing that's going on at the moment is a platform called Substack, which is allowing individual journalists, people who write about a specialist topic, to create a newsletter easily, but they combine the payment platform. That's always been the tricky thing. I tuned in to watch one of the founders of Substack, Hamish McKenzie, is a Kiwi guy, at Splice Beta, which is the month-long new media festival put on by content show regulars Alan Soon and Rishad Patel, our good friends, and we're supporting them with their video content at the moment. And Hamish had some really interesting things to say about how Substack is really helping journalists make an income. A lot of journalists are out of work at the moment. I'll show you one from a Southeast Asian journalist called Erin Cook. Her newsletter is called Dari Mullet K Mullet. I probably said that wrong. But anyway, it focuses on Southeast Asia, and it's a really good newsletter, so it's covering a lot of the news in the region. This is about the recent decision in the Philippines to pardon a US Marine who killed a trans woman in Olongapo City, which is near Manila. So Erin writes about the whole region, and it's one really good one. What do you guys think about Substack? Should we be moving confidential onto Substack and charging people for it?
I think, well, Substack seems to work for niche products and localized content, especially when you've got big newspapers not having local reporters on the ground anymore.
Even like in tech startup worlds, usually even if you think about really, really big ambitions, you always start with a very specific audience in mind and very, very specific niche that you satisfy. And then after you prove the business model, you start growing. There was lack of monetization tools for those niche content creators, and Substack basically now is trying to fill this gap. So I'm sure we will see more and more tools trying to jump into that and fight against them.
Okay. Finally, I want to share Artur's newsletter, which is called Newsy News Newsletter. Although I think he's changed the title by the sounds of it. So, it's called Comedy and Art. And Artur, maybe you can run through and tell us how your newsletter has evolved and why you do it, because you're doing this in your weekends in your spare time.
Yeah. So more than 4 years ago, I started doing stand-up comedy as well. I decided to kind of solidify my online presence. I decided to go a bit more old school, and I launched my own newsletter. Primarily, it was more to have a bit of a more intimate connection with my audiences, so that on a regular basis, they know what are the upcoming open mics or shows that are happening the next week, so they can buy tickets. I wanted to add a bit more value and try to provide a bit more things to people. So my personal interests lie in exploring new short films, new animations, any interesting basically video content, and also some music. So I started curating those, and that's kind of how it evolved. The performance has been okay so far. I think usually about 30% open rates across a couple of hundred subscribers. But more importantly, sometimes you have some nice messages that, I've been reading it, I love your selected short films, always watch it, big fan, etc. So I think that just keeps me moving.
I guess the message for brands is if you can get some of those true fans going, the numbers don't need to be huge because they're kind of super fans. So they're going to be recommending what you do. Okay, guys, thank you very much. That was episode 22 of The Content Show. I'm here with editorial content director Tim Coleman and scripted content director Artur Akhmetsianov. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, if you want to subscribe to our newsletter, then we will flash up the URL right below. It's clicktoview.asia/newsletter to make it easier for you. Please also subscribe to our YouTube channel if you like what you're seeing here, and hit the bell if you want to be notified. Give us a thumbs up because that's really nice, and thanks for watching.